Good morning, everybody. I'm just waiting for everybody to come in. I'd like to wait just a few more seconds. Oh, hello, everybody. It's so lovely to see you all. There's some beautiful, hello. So good to see you all again. I've missed actually spending time with you in this space. So thanks for joining us. We've got a lot to get through this morning, so we'll get started. And I'd like to just welcome our community partners and some of our other guests today. Thank you for joining us. A warm welcome to everybody. My name's Faith Valencia Forrester and I'm the Director of the Service Learning Unit here at Griffith University. Just some housekeeping before we get to the important stuff. Can everybody please mute your microphones unless you are speaking? We've got closed captioning available during this session. So if you would like closed captioning, you just push the CC button at the bottom of your screen. One thing to note, it is computer generated, so apologies if it comes up with anything that is incorrect or quite funny. We have had that happen. If I could ask our presenters joining us today to please speak a little slowly.
Is that good?
Because, yeah, that lets the closed captioning get a more accurate version of what's being said. So I'd like to start with a welcome this morning from Uncle John Graham, who's from the Griffith Council of Elders. It's been an honour to have Uncle John join us through these sprints, and he's been giving us some wonderful wisdom and guidance. So I'd like to introduce Uncle John Graham, who's going to do the welcome this morning.
Bagel, Nayang, Jimbalungs. G'day friends, my name is John Graham. I'm a proud Kumbamerri man, a saltwater man of the Gold Coast region. Our people are part of the wider Yugambeh language group. The Kumbamerri lands stretch from the Goomera, the Coomera River to the north, down to the Tweed River in the south, bordered by the beautiful Pacific Ocean and the foothills of the Great Dividing Range. I'd like to acknowledge my elders past, present and emerging for, as I say, at all welcomes. It is important to recognise the hard work that our old people did in dark times, and we continue that legacy into today so that we can also pass on that reconciled state onto our young people, because they're the bearers of the flame, the keepers of the knowledge, and keep our culture strong into the future. I'd also like to pay my respects to the spirit of this land and her people, which includes all of you here today. My authority to speak today comes from Waru, my apical ancestor, whose connection through her daughter Jenny Graham passed on through Frank, Jack and Leonard Graham, my father, allows me to speak with authority on Kumbamerri land and so that we acknowledge this place. Please respect this place as you go about your business and walk within our lands, because that respect is reciprocal. We need you to maintain that reciprocity while you are within Kumbamerri lands and other places on other campuses that people may be studying on. Welcome to this country. It's a special place. Please respect each other, respect the country and her people and the fauna and flora. It's important that you do this, that we maintain this into the future. Anyabu, Anyabu, until we meet again. Thank you.
Thank you, Uncle John, for giving us that lovely welcome. So we set out to make a positive social change and looking at what we needed to do to reimagine impact with these internships. Our vision for these virtual social impact projects was to establish a model for a more inclusive virtual workspace as we head into the fourth industrial revolution, while giving students valuable work experience as they develop employability skills as they head into their careers. We're also looking at creating inclusive and equitable workspaces for a distributed workforce as defined by collaboration, creativity, flexible agility, solution-focused design, and critical thinking. And I think we've been able to evidence that through having our student interns, Griffith University, and our community partners all collaborating on solutions for positive social change. A huge thanks to our community partners working alongside us as co-designers, and thank you for being so enthusiastic and supportive for wanting to be involved in these sprints. Our student interns were given 5 key challenges facing policymakers and communities here in Australia: empowering people of all abilities, homelessness, digital inclusion for education and employment, the environment and sustainability, and also importantly, mental health and well-being. All these issues intersect and interconnect, and are issues that are misunderstood, under-supported, and in urgent need of addressing. The benefits of these internships will last long into their professional careers, and I've witnessed their passion and for justice transcend their original interest in gaining experience. These are the next generation of leaders that will make decisions and implement changes that will make the world a better place. So thank you for supporting us and taking part in this showcase. To begin official proceedings for today's showcase, I would like to invite Griffith University's Pro Vice Chancellor for Learning and Teaching, Professor Carol Evans. She'd like to say a few words.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to thank Faith and her team for the amazing work that they have done in what have not been unstressful times to put all this together. But while they might be rapidly and furiously paddling below the surface, they demonstrate calm, patience, and resilience in all they do. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Social Impact Project Showcase programme today, the projects of which Faith has just outlined. I want to thank every single one of you students in this space today and all the people that you have impacted. You should be very proud. Also, I'd like to really sincerely thank our community partners, because without your support, we would not be able to do any of this. And in moving forward, we desperately need your support. COVID, I was going to not mention it today because I didn't want to, but it has afforded us time to think about how we can have an impact by working together to help reduce differential impacts that the way society is organised impacts on particular individuals, especially individuals who are disadvantaged. My dream is for a curriculum that designs assessment that is pointful, it is meaningful, in that it adds something to each individual. It's not a means of jumping through a hoop, but it is a means of adding something to somebody's life, but also it needs to do something more. It needs to do something for others. It needs to carry forward. It needs to impact other people's lives. So how do we create a university whereby how we design the curriculum allows everybody into it and also has a positive impact on society? And that is something that we talk about a lot in terms of authentic assessment, but do we actually realise it? And do we actually allow every student to come into the space, or are we disadvantaging? I spent a lot of time looking at individual differences, and we could argue in the last 20 years we've come a massively long way. I still think we have a habit of grouping particular disadvantages together when they are very individual. A big penchant of mine is that disability is not one banner, it is multiple banners, and I really want universities to stop grouping those into one category because it becomes meaningless. The experiences of students and colleagues in society are very different, but there are things that we can learn and that we can apply through neuroscience and individual differences research that would enable everybody in society to benefit from knowing the individual journeys that many of our students and wider partners experience on a daily basis. It's with that in mind, I'm absolutely delighted today to thank our keynote speaker, Dr. Ben Gauntlet, for actually coming into this space. He's the Disability Discrimination Commissioner. I find it hard to say that with my issues, but I really would like to say a few words about Ben. I have never met Ben. I'm inspired by Ben's story. Ben himself is a quadriplegic, having had to manage the impact of a pretty catastrophic rugby union accident when he was younger. But the important thing for me, if we look at what Ben has achieved in terms of representing and being the voice for others, if in life we can all be the voice for others and yet manage adversity for ourselves, but also have the voice for others, then I think we are truly achieving something in society. Ben has worked as a barrister in Australia and Victoria. He also holds law degrees, a whole suite from Australia, from the UK, in Oxford University, and also from New York. In his current role, he advocates for a better quality of life for all people, but through an emphasis on disabled and also those, so for example, the aged, and better facilities for them. In looking forward, I have a concept in that in a previous life as a geographer, I always used to study a lot of coastal environments. And I used to talk a lot about pioneer species. So if I'm losing you here, I apologize for going off at tangents. But I used to do an awful lot of work on beaches with pioneer species. And one of my favorite ones was marram grass. Marram grass is something that survives no matter what you throw at it. So the more it gets inundated with sand, the more it says, I'm going to show you it. And it grows through it. But what I'm trying to say about that is that the marram grass people of today are those that actually cultivate an area, they make it a better place for others. If through our education in universities, that we can inspire all you marvelous people in the space to go on to create better environments for others, then we have truly all achieved. I am biased in this space, and that's why I'm also very keen to welcome Dr. Ben Gauntlet as a person who comes to this situation with inherited and acquired disabilities. I know only too well how desperate it can be to have your voice heard, and how tiring it is, so that one can manage one's own context, but trying to manage that in society when there are lots of barriers that many people cannot see exist because they cannot walk in your shoes. I'd just like to say I'm really ever so excited to introduce Ben, who is an absolute role model and a star, and we can learn so much from you. And as I said, I don't want to take you on as a barrister, because I think I would lose, but I would learn a lot in the process. So I'm always very admiring of barristers. And I had a whole series of a while ago about the difference between evidence and fact, because I remember when I got an acquired injury from a university and had quite a significant brain injury, the fact that I was successful with my injury meant my injury, although profound, didn't count. So I was told I'd been better if I'd have just curled up in a ball and given up. But giving up isn't part of the language. Okay, so I'm going to hand over to Ben. Thank you, Ben, for coming into our space. And we really look forward today to the amazing projects that you've all done. As a university, as a PVC, I am so proud of every single one of you and our community partners for enabling us to all achieve. So you are the amazing marram grass, and I thank you all. So I hope you have a wonderful day. And thank you again, Faith, and your team, who are absolute stars. So over to Ben.
Thank you very much, Professor Evans, and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for inviting me to the Social Impact Project Showcase program at Griffith University in Queensland. I acknowledge the welcome to country from Uncle John Graham, and would like to acknowledge that I sit on Gadigal land of the Eora Nation in Sydney, and pay my respects to the Aboriginal elders past and present that may be in the audience today. When I spoke to Faith yesterday, she commented that she wants me to give a speech that ensured each and every one of you continue to undertake social impact projects for the rest of your life. That is quite a significant goal to achieve. She provided me with the information reflecting the projects you undertook, and I started reading them. And as I looked at them and I looked at the videos, I became so entrenched in the material that it got to about 2 o'clock last night. And I was like, well, this is really just so important. When I reviewed the materials created for each project, being those relating to empowering people of all disabilities, digital inclusion, homelessness, environment, and mental health and well-being, I perhaps also realised that there was a significant amount that was required to be done in the community. Today, however, I want to focus upon a slightly different issue. I wanted to talk to you about how good policy design is impacted upon by social impact projects such as that you have completed. Part of good policy design is people. To say that people are diverse and different is obvious. Different facets of a person's life and their attributes, whether they be physical, emotional, or mental, mean we are all different. We are all unique. We all need to be considered and treated with dignity, no matter what our circumstances. What struck me when looking at many of the projects was that it was the failure of the policy framework that existed in Australia to adapt to the needs of a diverse population that meant there was a need to create social impact. The projects you have created are thought-provoking, diligently created, and cognizant of diversity. But the outcomes of the projects will likely be based upon a critical need that needs to be fulfilled. That is, their effectiveness and their efficacy will be judged over time in the framework of other policies and projects that exist. Your projects mean, hopefully, that decision makers will have a more authentic view of the world. You can do that in terms of making a more authentic view of the world available to decision makers in the rest of your lives by listening, learning, co-designing, and communicating in an accessible manner. But I encourage you to be ambitious when you do so. My background is that I'm a quadriplegic following a rugby accident at age 16. I walked onto the field not knowing much about the world. I was carried off the field again not knowing much about the world. In the 6 months it finally took to get home, I started to understand there was a need to appreciate diversity. People who were in hospital with me came from different racial and socio-economic backgrounds. This radically impacted upon their interactions with the healthcare system. What drives inequity and what drives exclusion often does not arise as a result of people deliberately choosing to exclude people. Rather, they do not think about the needs of particular individuals. Subconscious bias does exist. It arises in part from an inability of individuals from diverse backgrounds being able to advocate for themselves. When policies are created with an absence of understanding as to the needs of people who are being dealt with, as to what can occur, the policies created are less than ideal. We know from research, though, that to affect societal values or the way in which people think, you need to impact upon them at a personal, organisational, and structural level. This has to be done over a considerable time period, and the time period is years and not months. Your projects impact upon people at a personal level. They have the ability to be a part of a framework that ensures we have change, meaningful change, change that lasts generations. A good example of where societal values have changed is smoking. Education, increases in cigarette prices and advertising has meant that we understand the dangers of cigarettes today and tobacco more generally. But in the field of disability, and more particularly the employment of disability, employment of people with disability, we still have a long way to go. We have not yet solved the Pandora's box of how to make people adjust to disability easily and readily. We do not know what incentives and disincentives to provide to employers. Whilst we have discrimination laws, it is unclear to what extent those discrimination laws are fit for purpose. What this means is that in Australia, billions of dollars are spent on the employment of people with disability in Australia for little gain. We rank 21st out of 29 countries in the OECD for the employment of people with disability, and second last for people with disability living in poverty. It is neither good for the taxpayer, the person with disability, or society more generally. Disability employment is not an effective policy framework in Australia. What is so fantastic about the projects that you have created and the effort you have gone to is that they go some way to impacting upon societal values. You may not be able to change the organisation values that you deal with, but the very existence of this program within Griffith University means that your values are impacting upon society for the better. This is to be applauded. By shining a light on issues of concern for society, there is a possibility that collective action can occur which results in societal change for the better. In my role, I often have to try and get people to understand that good disability policy benefits everyone. Many of your projects benefit everyone too. Approximately 4.4 million Australians have disability, and 80% of disability is acquired during the totality of someone's life. So if good disability policy doesn't benefit you today, it may benefit you tomorrow. But it's difficult to sometimes get people to understand the importance of housing with universal design concepts, transport that's easily accessible, digital inclusion, and understanding that disability is not just physical disability. Efforts to create social impact, as has been undertaken in this wonderful course, make this easier. Already, in really looking through the materials relating to the programs, will change the way I advocate upon certain issues. I am very much grateful. When I asked Faith yesterday what I could do on today's program, she said there was no pressure, but I want you to ensure that everyone who takes part in the program wants to make social impact for the rest of their lives. It is fair to say that this proposition is a daunting one. But when I thought about what is social impact and why it is relevant, I did think that life is often made up of a series of mini projects which we can all have social impact in. As a wheelchair user who likes to travel often with less than ideal equipment, I have been the recipient of much kindness. It was not done in an objectifying or condescending way, but a way of merely trying to help and understanding that I would help others. But although I've referred to the need for mini projects, and although I've suggested to you that there is a need to undertake mini projects, I also think it's important to be ambitious in the goals you set. Recently, I hosted the New Zealand Disability Rights Commissioner, Paula Tesoriero. She stated quite eloquently that when setting goals, it's important to be ambitious. After I finished presenting, I picked up an article to read about the late United States Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. It goes without saying that Ruth Bader Ginsburg was an admirable woman. But when asked how many women were needed on the Supreme Court for there to be enough women, she answered 9. That means all justices would be women. In some ways, it is the ambition sitting behind the comment that makes it all the more attractive. In conclusion, the impact created by your projects can be profound. They can, combined with other events, influence the value system of generations. But you can also make social impact in many ways unassociated with the university classroom. It is important you continue to do so. Be ambitious when you think about what impact you can have. The idea behind the project may cause people to I look forward to being updated as to the status impact of the impacts created by these projects going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. I can't tell you how much that means to me that you have put that challenge down to our students, and I'm so looking forward to them meeting your challenge to continue their work into their lives. But most of all, I'd like to say thank you so much for going through all the material that I sent you, and I'm sorry you stayed up till 2, but I really appreciate you taking the time to engaging with what the students have done and actually hearing the work that they've done. I know you're really busy and you've got to go to your next event, but thank you so much for joining us. So if I could ask everybody, and my interns know how to do this, give Ben a big round of applause and say thank you so much for taking the time to share with us, and I look forward to being in touch. Thank you. That was amazing. I'm so pleased to hear that the Commissioner actually took the time to go through all the work that you guys have been working on for the last 11 weeks. And it is amazing work, he's right, and you are going to have an impact. So before any further ado, before we get into the projects, you know, the students have been working on some projects that have been quite difficult to deal with for some of us. So as always through these times, we put a trigger warning for people, just to let you know that these presentations may contain some sensitive information for some of our audience, and our fabulous team will constantly be putting links and numbers if you do feel that you need support throughout these presentations. The Griffith Counselling Wellness line is in that number, and they're available 24/7 if anybody feels like they need to reach out and make a call to that team. First up, I'm so pleased to be able to present to you all the Empowering People of All Abilities project team, who really wanted to work on promoting new ways of thinking through their awareness campaign. We'll just show you an overview of their project now. Person of all ability to participate and contribute in our society. All community members have a responsibility to be aware and informed about the facts and community perceptions of disability, discrimination and anti-discrimination law, the rights of persons with a disability, and how people with varying abilities are portrayed in the media.
So us making progress is contingent on people wanting to do the right thing, not because of tokenism, it's because we genuinely want to do the right thing. There's plenty of literature out there that shows that productivity is increased, creativity is increased, and aren't these the things that we need to foster in our organizations and our society? But I really, really encourage each and every one of you to do your bit and making this a more inclusive and enabled world.
There is opportunity to empower people with disability using the laws, and especially the new laws under the Human Rights Act.
I think we do need to do a little bit of work with our health professionals and our other professions, getting them to be able to think from someone else's perspective.
Avenues of complaints and testing the law often can have very small and incremental changes, and particularly for individuals if they do manage to have a win.
Dale, what made you decide to study community services?
I wanted. Help people with disabilities have fantastic lives.
From all of us in our communication group, thank you to Faith and all the Griffith University students for reading our paper and listening to our experiences. Appreciate your time, and we hope we have helped broaden your knowledge and understanding of disability. We wish you all the best in your study.
Let's give Gillian, Scott, Dale, EJ, Rob, John a big round of applause.
Hello, I'm Kiri, Project Leader for the Empowering People of All Abilities Social Impact Project. We are a collective of Griffith University students. We might be studying various degrees, but we all have one unanimous goal: exclude all stigma and include all people. Our project comprises several teams, including policy and research, media, marketing and communications, stakeholders and events, budgets and project team management. Let's hear from our team leaders.
Hello, my name is Jana Adams and I'm a part of the Empowering People of All Abilities project. My responsibilities was being the team leader for the policy team and running the competition for the project. The purpose of the policy team involved researching and reviewing information such as reports, statistics, and literature for the project that the other teams would utilise in their work. In the running of the competition, I am involved with keeping track of the participants involved, if they are eligible to get into the draw, and drawing the winners for the gift cards.
Hi, my name is Katie and I am one of the project leaders through this social media campaign. Being a project leader means that I am regularly communicating with leaders from other groups, making sure that all questions and queries are answered and that everyone is on task. Throughout the social media campaign, I really hope that we can achieve our goal, to exclude all stigma and to include all people. We will be sharing news articles, lived experience stories, and factual posts and quotes. I really hope that we get a chance to further our own knowledge as well as educate the general society to rid of any stereotypes or negative stigma. I really hope that we get a chance to hear your voice and have you support us upon this journey.
Hello, my name is Cara Skaysbrook and I'm the team leader for the Comms Media Marketing Group, who is behind this social media campaign. We are a group of Griffith Uni students who are part of the Social Impact Project Internship, and our project is this campaign, which is really important to us. We want to provide a platform to empower and raise the voices of people with different abilities and to educate people about the negative stigmas that surround interacting with people of different abilities. We're going to be doing this through informative posts, lived experiences, and also we're going to have some great interviews that will be coming up. We are a small group of students and we really want to make a difference, and so we're going to try and do that through raising awareness. Our aim is to exclude all stigma and include all people.
Hey everybody, my name is Francesca and I am the event management team leader for the Empowering People of All Abilities Impact Project. I am a Griffith student that studies primary education and my major is in special needs education, so this topic is very dear to my heart personally. I just want to tell everyone a little bit about what the events team has been doing. So we've been working a lot with the media marketing and communications team in creating posts, creating input, and trying to really just get the message across in our campaign. And we're also putting on the final showcase, which will be recorded so everyone can have a watch of that, and we will discuss the input and the outcomes that we have achieved from this project. So hopefully with all of your love and support, we will get this campaign up and running and be creating awareness as best to our ability.
It was really important for us to learn more about the lived experience of people of all abilities and to work with key stakeholders doing great work in this space already. We are lucky to work with Cascade Communication Group, with the Choice, Passion, Life organisation, Queensland Advocacy Incorporated and the Hopkins Centre. Cara, can you share our media and marketing strategy?
Sure can, Kiri. Our social media strategy was centred around being inclusive and making sure people with lived experiences had a voice and place in our communications. We created a team of people creating content and scheduling posts to raise awareness of the issues and challenges, stigmas and stereotypes. The Comms Media and Marketing team produced and generated the content for the campaign. As a team, we created content to run for 14 days. We created informative posts, news article posts, lived experience posts and interviews. Because we wanted to have the greatest impact, the posts were scheduled for the times that had the most online traffic. All the lived experiences and all the interviews were created and conducted by this team. To make our content more accessible, we turned the informative posts into infographics that you can see in the campaign and edited the interviews. We had an observer, a part of the team, put all the audio and images together. Elijah, can you please tell us about our goals and outcomes?
Yeah, sure, Cara. We set some goals that we could measure the impact of our messages. We wanted our posts to have between 25 to 50 interactions. We wanted to achieve over 1,000 likes and have 500 people like our page. We wanted to produce at least 10 stories featuring people with lived experiences. We had a small budget to help us achieve our goals. Zachary will give you a quick rundown about how we spent our budget.
Hi, I'm Zachary Betts, and I was one of two in the budget team. Our duty was to organise with the other teams the best and most valuable advertisement strategies with a limit of $2,000. Communicating with our excellent project leaders, we concluded that online advertisement using Facebook was the best approach. With a budget plan organised, it was now up to us to communicate with our wonderful Griffith staff members about the transactions that needed to take place to allow the project to go ahead. During the process, we found out that one of our advertisement strategies would not be possible. So, with a livelier budget, we implemented gift cards and online competitions with the help of the project team.
Here are some examples from our social media posts. As our campaign hasn't finished, these results are still changing, but I'm pleased to say we achieved our original goals within the first week. This project has been an incredible experience and opportunity. We have learnt so much more than we expected.
The impact of this project has made it more meaningful, seeing the results of our hard work.
We're really glad we were able to share it with you.
Guys, that was amazing. I have some questions before we hand over to Professor Kendall, who's going to provide a response. Elijah, in regards to your final outcomes, do you believe your campaign was a success?
Yeah, Faith, considering the goals we made before implementing the project, we think our project has been such a success. We managed to reach close to 8,000 people with our Facebook content, and 5 of our posts actually had over 1,000 people reached, and that included an amazing interview with Justin, who had a lived experience. But probably the most rewarding sort of outcome we had was a business that works with people of all abilities. They were really challenged by the awareness we raised around the terminology and changing from disability to people of all abilities. And they've actually implemented that into their business. So yeah, it's awesome. We're really stoked.
Wow, so you're actually seeing some real impacts in the work that you're doing. That's amazing, Elijah. Cara, I believe you're here from the team. How effective was the campaign in setting out the goals set by the team?
We believe that it was really effective because we were able to achieve one of our main goals, which was providing a platform to boost the voices of the community. And through those lived experiences and interviews, we were really able to do that and hear some great stories and perspectives from personal experiences, family and friends, and also people that worked in the community. So we got a lot of great insights and it was really educational.
Yeah, so shout out to the Cascade communication team working with us throughout this project, sharing their insights. Just huge gratefulness from me. That's really bad grammar. But Professor Kendall, are you here? And can I trouble you for a response to the students' project? You were one of our project partners, giving the students guidance throughout their project. I'd just like to hear some final thoughts from you.
Thank you so much, Faith. Can you hear me all right? Everything's good?
Yeah.
Okay. Look, I'm just so impressed with what you've done. And I should say up front that I'm representing a group of partners who work with us in the Hopkins Centre, mostly focused on spinal injury and brain injury, but a lot of other people with chronic conditions as well participate in research. And I think what you've captured so beautifully is how we need to pivot our whole thinking around disability to actually think about ability, and that's just impressive. And the fact that you've had this real change happen already, I can't tell you how great that is, because each little piece of change adds up over time. So congratulations, and that's fantastic. A couple of things that that I would say to you that I think are absolutely amazing that you've done and you need to keep doing more of. One is crossing all the boundaries as you have. So listening to you, it's so good to see all your different disciplines working together. Because what we often see is that only a small number of disciplines work in disability or focus on disability, and you know, we're constantly battling with other disciplines to even think it's important. But what you've captured is this engagement across a number of disciplines and crossing boundaries really well in a way that will start to generate its own movement in future. So for me, that's a big plus for what you've done and for what Faith has set up here. So so great. I think the other thing that stood out for me, or one thing that stood out for me, was that your slogan is terrific. You know, it excludes stigma, not people. You know, I mean, that's really lovely. I think we need to get rid of something that is damaging for people, and I think making it a social movement is really important. We've done a lot of battling around policy, and you can see that policy is fantastic. Policy looks really good, but implementation lags terribly. And I think what you're doing is you're making something go viral, which I've always wanted to do. You know, just have something go viral. And if you can make that slogan go viral, then you're starting to make impact, because other people are using your slogan, and you're putting some great images with that. You're mixing really nicely the idea that we want to generate a bit of moral outrage here, but we also want to generate a sense that that things are a lot more possible if you include people with disabilities, and you get some really good outcomes. And I think you've hit that balance really nicely with the work that you're doing. So having targets, a couple more points, Faith, and I just think it's fantastic. I think everything you've done is fantastic. A couple more points would be your targets are really important. You know, some of the most successful campaigns I've seen have a target. So, you know, there's a campaign at the moment around jobs, and it's 500 companies that they want to enlist in this program. I think you should make your targets much more prominent in what you're trying to achieve. You know, and one company that's made a real change, set yourself a target and keep going. It's fantastic. A non-charity approach was the other thing I noticed about your work. There's not this sense of feel sorry for people. We don't want that. That's not helpful at all. So,
Professor Kendall, I know. Professor Kendall, thank you so much for sharing your feedback with the students and your positive response to their projects. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're busy. We've got so many to get through. So I'll be sending you the project reports once they're finished, and I'll look forward to continue sharing the works with you. And thank you for partnering with us and providing your support through this project. Our next presentation is the Digital Inclusion Project team, who looked at what they could do to address the digital divide. A warm welcome to everybody. My name is Faith Valencia Forrester. I'm the Director of the Service Learning Unit at Griffith University.
In 2017, there was 1.25 million Australian households that didn't have internet access in their home and therefore were unable to access essential services.
Every high school student a laptop from 2008 to 2013, and then the federal government stopped funding it, and the states were supposed to pick it up and keep funding it from there, and they didn't.
And English as a second language, or students with parents who are socially disadvantaged will, you know, struggle and need that extra support.
So, digital disadvantage together with social and economic disadvantage puts our marginalised community members at greater risk of not being able to improve their digital literacy.
To make sure that there is an opportunity for people with lived experience of disability to have a seat at the table.
We really appreciate your time and expertise.
No worries.
I'd just like to say I totally agree with your statement that access to the internet is an essential service.
Certainly we have the knowledge to make it better, and so a big part of my role is to try and encourage organisations to follow standards and make it work.
You guys have guided us and got us to this point, so we really appreciate all your hard work.
Hi, I'm Brittany Mann and I'm leading the Griffith University Social Impact Digital Inclusion for Education and Employment project, building a bridge over Australia's digital divide. We aim to create awareness about the digital divide in Australia by promoting the need for accessibility, usability and affordability of technology for vulnerable communities including people with disabilities, Indigenous Australians, remote communities and people from low socioeconomic backgrounds. We have created an awareness campaign with a series of interviews with thought leaders and representatives from these communities and other key stakeholders, and we will share these key insights via our social media in order to raise awareness about the digital divide.
I'm Cassidy Winter, and I'm the Communications Liaison for the project. We're a multidisciplinary team working collaboratively to address this important social issue. We have teams for research, marketing and content creation, communication, interviews, and production.
Hi, I'm Ashley Locke. I am the interview producer for this project. To create our awareness campaign about the digital divide, we wanted to involve expert community members who also had lived experiences with accessibility, usability, and the affordability of technology. Our team interviewed Dr. Scott Hollier, the CEO and co-founder of the Centre for Accessibility, Dr. Geraldine Teresi, Griffith University School of Information and Communication Technology. We also had Tony Sharp, founder of Substation 33, Naomi Middlebrook, President of Radfly, and Dr. Donna Pendergast, Griffith's Dean of Education and Professional Studies. These interviews were shared via our social media page, raising the importance of this social issue. We posted our little snippets twice a day from our content on Facebook and Twitter, and full videos on YouTube to market our project. We closely monitored the interaction, ensuring questions and comments were appreciated and responded to in a timely manner.
We wanted to grow our audience and implemented a Facebook promotion of $30 per day for 30 days, reaching between 1,300 and 3,800 people nationally daily.
We targeted 18 plus in the eastern states of Australia, reaching university students and other adults via our page showcasing the broad array of issues covered around the digital divide. Our page insights show the launch date from the 15th of August. We have reached 12,900 people on Facebook and 1,269 posted engagements. We have almost 400 likes and hope to get this to 1,000 likes by the end of our promotion. We have held over 600 views and multiple visits to our website.
We subtitled the videos and provided closed captioning.
The awareness campaign has highlighted the need for change.
Thank you for listening, and we hope you can join us in bridging the digital divide.
Guys, amazing work. Cassidy, how did you think this project supported human rights? Why is access to technology so important?
So I think it's just a really vital thing to have in this day and age, especially now during the current COVID-19 pandemic. Most employment you can get only online. A lot of education is available online, and a really important thing, especially for isolated people through living in rural areas or being LGBT, it's really important that we have like an avenue to community. And without technology, then that's often really difficult. By supporting tech equality, we're supporting some of the most disenfranchised communities in our society.
Cassidy, before you started this project, were you aware of the impact of digital divide?
I was aware that some of it existed, but I had no idea how deep it ran.
Brittany, why did you decide to do a social media campaign? Why did your team decide to do a social media campaign?
Thank you, Faith. So as a team and due to the current COVID situation, we decided that it was best to do a social media campaign to raise awareness about this important social issue. We had plans to be involved with the community. However, to be COVID safe, we wanted to just raise awareness to a large number of people because there was a lack of awareness already within the community. And I'm sure I can speak for everyone in our team and who was involved. at the start, we really didn't know a lot. And now where we are now, we've learnt so much and we've grown together as a group. And I think considering the limited time frame we had, we've really achieved some of the goals we set out.
Thanks, Brittany. Ashley, tell me, why did you choose the people to interview that you interviewed as part of your campaign?
Yeah, so we wanted to engage with members of the community who had a lived experience with the digital divide and have been impacted by digital inclusion. We wanted to have the opportunity to sit down with these people, have a conversation about their experiences and, you know, admire the great work they were doing and see how we could best use their experiences and their knowledge and their wisdom to make our social media campaign, you know, effective and have a positive impact. And engaging with people like Dr. Scott Hollier, Geraldine Teresi, and Donna Pendergast have been amazing to speak to. Just hearing their experiences, hearing what they've been doing to close the digital divide from their, you know, individual corners, because they're all from different areas. You know, Dr. Hollier is a CEO of his own company focused on accessibility for all. Geraldine Teresi works with like the human element with digital technology, and you know, Donna Pendergast with her amazing credentials is doing such an amazing job in the education field at Griffith University. And we thought, you know, why not have these people come in, have a conversation and just see what we can learn from them.
And so incorporating them into your collaboration and your design process.
Yeah.
So Dr. Scott Hollier wasn't able to join us today, but I did send him your project report, and he actually recorded a special video for you. So Samia's just going to play that for you.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Scott Hollier, CEO of the Centre for Accessibility Australia. My apologies for not being at the live event. Unfortunately, I'm at the time of your event, I'm in regional Western Australia, and I've been told that the broadband is not so good. So unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to join live, but I did just want to record this short message just to say, firstly, a big thank you to the hard work of all the students that have been involved in the Social Impact Project. It's been really exciting for me to see your interest in those principles of accessibility, usability and affordability, all the great questions that have been asked. And looking through the report, it looks like you've done a tremendous amount of work. Social media campaign, lots of other things, and just really, really excited that there is so much passion in this digital access space. If anyone else would like to get more information, or if you'd ever like to get back in touch, it would be my pleasure to continue supporting your digital access needs and sharing information as you explore this area. So again, apologies for my absence, but all the best with the live feed, and yeah, please continue to be passionate about the cause. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Dr. Geraldine Teresi was also one of our project partners and came in a couple of times to work with the students. Geraldine, are you here? And can I ask you for some feedback and a response to the students' project?
Yes, I am here. First and foremost, congratulations, folks. Amazing work. As I was watching that, I was just thinking, well done, very well done, to an amazing group, really, of young professionals who I have a sense are going to carry this experience and this value most likely through the rest of your lives. So amazing. It was an amazing experience being able to be part of the process of this. And so on my part, thank you so much for letting me be involved, and thank you very much for the inspiration that I gained as well from working with you and now watching that final product. You've done amazingly well. You've approached it, I think, from a really good perspective. Even just in your introduction there, you showed the different facets of the digital divide. Because it is a multifaceted thing. It's not just one thing. It has various sources, and you've captured that beautifully in there. Often I find we use the words accessibility and usability a lot. We hear them all the time, but often that discussion is kind of at an academic level. It's almost a sort of lip service to it, and nothing kind of happens. We go, okay, yeah, well, this is a problem, and not much happens. You folks have taken that away from the theoretical level down to the level of action. Importantly, what you've done is you've actually used technology to to be empowering to yourselves and empowering to the audience that you're trying to reach out to. And I expect that the way you've presented it has presented, I guess, a challenge to the perspectives that some of your audience may have held. And when you challenge perspectives, that's when the opportunity occurs for transformation and for change. You folks have done that amazingly well. All I can say to you is keep going, keep doing what you're doing, and just keep at it. You've done an amazing job. Thank you.
Dr. Tracy, thank you so much for joining us. It's really important to identify the structural systems that are set up to impact different people in how it kind of pushes them into homelessness and the additional struggles that they face when they're actually going through these experiences.
Really concerningly, more than 2 in 5 of these people in homelessness were children.
You know, what are some of the challenges that women go through and how microfinance was impacting on communities? How a small loan actually could really change livelihoods for women.
Hostile architecture is architecture designed to stop people using public spaces in undesirable ways.
And like Claire said, I was really shocked by that.
You have a sort of a picture in your head when you move into a developed nation. You don't think there'll be any homelessness. So when I came to Australia and I saw people on the streets, I was actually really shocked.
What does no home but not alone mean to me? I'm ashamed to say what I thought about homeless people before starting this project. I thought it was a life they chose. I would be scared to make eye contact with them when I saw them on the streets. I think this was mostly because of guilt. I grew up with the understanding that if you gave them money, they would just use it for the wrong things. I now realize how uneducated and naive I've been about the topic. They are people just like me. All they want is compassion, care, and a safe place to call home. I was shocked to learn about the huge amount of homeless people in Australia, and about how the Queensland government doesn't list shelter as a basic human right. Homelessness is a massive problem in Australia, and it needs more attention.
Hello, I'm Johnny King.
And I'm Gabriella Alvarenga.
Most of us would agree that having a place to call home is a fundamental human right. But right now, a staggering 20,000 people are experiencing homelessness in Queensland.
That's about 1 in every 200 people.
Yet most of Australians find it hard to look at homeless people, pretending that they don't exist. When people do notice, it's not often out of empathy, kindness, or care. Homeless people have long been stigmatised and blamed for their situation, that it's their fault that they got themselves here.
Here are some quick facts about homelessness. The most widely recognised type of homeless, those who find themselves living on the streets, represent only about 7% of the total population. The other 93%, who are people living in temporary housing with friends, family, or in boarding homes. Their temporary living arrangement often sees this group of homeless people frequently moving from one place to the next.
The reasons for homelessness are complex and varied. It can range from housing affordability, mental health, domestic violence, debt and addiction. These are just a handful of the reasons that force people into homelessness.
Project Shelter was born from the idea that homelessness is a solvable issue in our lifetime. The best way we thought we could participate in the conversation and have an impact on our community was to address the stigma and stereotypes of homelessness. And the people to start with was in schools and educating the leaders of tomorrow. That is how our project was born.
Project Shelter aims to generate awareness and remove the stigma of homelessness through educating our youth.
Under the leadership of Louise Jones, the research team identified statistics and information on homeless, which guided our project and campaign.
The mission of the stakeholder team was to find community organisations that could partner with us, building positive relationships with people and organisations that were already providing vital community services to the homeless population. The team did a fantastic job getting our message out to the youth and reaching as many schools within the South Brisbane region to drum up as much motivation and engagement from schools and students as possible.
The events team was critical in maximising engagement with schools and youth. We couldn't visit schools directly and adapted the campaign online, which was designed around Facebook and Instagram. The team developed a competition that would be launched adjacent to the online educational campaign. Our competition ran from the 11th to the 25th of September. The students in Year 7 to 12 were asked to respond to what does no home but not alone mean to you?
We wanted them to respond creatively to our campaign, what they had learned and what their beliefs were before engaging with our project. The competition required them to respond with a video, an animation, written response, song, drawing or infographic.
Eligible students had the chance to win a share of $500 in gift cards, with the project matching $500 donation to homeless community service groups of their choice.
The marketing and communication team was our largest project team. Their purpose was to develop the awareness of our project and our online campaign. Their role was to capture the attention of our youth and schools and encourage engagement with the competition and the campaign.
Hey, did you know that only 7% of Australia's homeless population are seen on the street?
It's crazy that homeless people are criminalised. A homeless person can be given a fine of up to $600.
Did you know that architecture can be hostile? Imagine not being able to rest on public flooring or seating because it's deliberately designed with spikes and handrails.
Wow, I didn't know that. It is estimated that 80% of homeless people are affected by mental health.
The marketing team functioned as 4 subunits: social media, website development, content and creation, and student engagement.
The role of the social media unit was to connect with our target audience being high school students and actively encouraging engagement. The campaign was promoted on Facebook and Instagram. These were identified as platforms that are heavily used by high school students.
The role of the website unit was to build and manage our online space to house our competition and our campaign, where students could go sign up for our competition and where we could collect useful data that we could use to measure the success of the campaign.
The role of the client engagement team was to follow the journey of the high schools and their participation in the project. They plan to engage participants at the beginning and end of their journey to see how their opinions, values and beliefs have evolved throughout the project. Self-reflection surveys were used to gather data. The information compiled will be used to measure the effectiveness of our campaign. The question is, was the project able to change minds and stigma around homelessness?
The role of the content and design team is to provide the content for all the departments across our project with various media, direct to schools, online, website, email, reporting and delivering the most eye-catching content to maximise engagement with the project.
Our finance team managed a $2,000 budget that was used for prizes and promoting our campaign through advertising and paid post boosting on Facebook and Instagram. $1,000 was used for awards and charitable donations, and a further $1,000 was used for online promotion of the campaign.
This was a life-changing project for us.
And we know we have made a difference.
All right, I've done it. I said I wasn't going to cry, but it's already happening. I've been trying really hard. Johnny, tell me about the memorable moment as part of your team.
Yeah, that was a really great recap to sort of see how far we've come over the last 11 weeks from where we started. For us, so the goal of our campaign was obviously to challenge and have youth to critically reflect on their own stereotypes and beliefs of what they hold. The most memorable moment from our team is when we actually realised that we actually had made some impact. We had, I think we reached over 100,000 people through social media. We didn't have as much engagement as what we wanted, but we had 10 people actually participate, or 10 youths actually participate in our competition, which we'll actually announce the winners today. So a memorable moment actually came for us when actually a parent that actually had 2 children find our competition and wanted to enter the competition. And her feedback was how that her children didn't know much about homelessness before, but engaging with our campaign has really struck a chord with them, and they want to actually engage and work and, continue the conversation, but also they want to actively do something themselves to, make homelessness a thing of the past. So I think that's the most memorable moment for us is we actually had some impact, which is great.
So you didn't know that woman or her children before? No one in the team knew that?
No, this is, just the two children found the campaign through our posted ads. It was a brother and a sister, I think, yeah.
That's awesome, Johnny.
Yeah.
How's your thinking around homelessness changed?
I feel that myself and many throughout the project realised that we still had many stereotypes around homelessness as a society, as a collective. And I recognised how much of a stigma there is around homelessness still. And it definitely informed me, and I became aware of how significant the issue is here in Australia, and specifically locally here at home within Brisbane. The project has really educated me on the issue, but specifically on how the community as a whole, so all levels of government, the justice system, and us as citizens are failing a vulnerable group within our society. I've also come to recognise how shifting the issue from a problem of housing to an issue of human rights can humanise the people behind homelessness and help others recognise that there is a critical need to help those who are vulnerable within our community. And hopefully through this campaign, this education campaign that we've done, we've informed all those who partook within the social media competition and through all the content on the social media pages. And I'm hoping that also begins a shift within the community and gets the conversation rolling on how to implement solutions on a really complex issue.
Thanks, Gabriella. I hope so too. One of your project partners was Dr. Dara Saar from Sisters Support Business Together. Dara, could I ask you to provide a partner response to the students' project, please?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. And just like you, Faith, I felt very teary just looking at that. What a powerful, very powerful project you guys have done. I've been working with women who are fighting homelessness, and it's such a real issue. And I think you guys have nailed it when you said that the stigma that is actually associated with it it's like even for somebody to say, yes, I am struggling with homelessness or I have this problem, people look at them like, it must be your fault. So just that education and starting with high school students, that youth, it's very powerful. So I'm very, very happy. I know we all talk about government should do this, government should do that, but it is about social awareness as well. It is all of us need to take that responsibility at some level to make that change. And what you guys have done is really great. So thank you for this amazing work.
Thank you, Dara. Okay, next up, our environment and sustainability team worked to raise awareness and provide resources for sustainable gardening. Let's see their project. Practices of attending to and understanding the interconnectedness of land, water and all living beings is critical to understanding how we sustainably manage, interact with and look at the environment.
Hi, I'm Terry Butler, the Federal Member for Griffith and the Shadow Minister for the Environment and Water. I'm delighted that one of your topics is environmental sustainability and mental health. I know you've heard people say this before, but you are the future. And it has never been more important to have creative and thoughtful minds applied to the big challenges facing our environment.
Particularly when we look at climate change, there needs to be more of a solutions-based focus and collaboration there.
Also, the destruction of climate change and the impacts that mining and water companies and even some tourism has on country.
We need mandatory guidelines to be brought in. So, for example, there's no single-use plastic at any event.
Think globally, act locally. We genuinely can make a difference in our own households. About a third of total food waste is coming from the households and our families.
As a community, if we get together and we believe in our rights, we can actually stand up and fight for them.
We need to make sure that what we do write about on the website and stuff like that really links back to how people can create sustainability in their own homes with their gardens, composting.
I'm just loving your concept of in a garden, a farm in a box. You could do your balcony garden in a box. You could do your raised garden in a box. You could do all these little packs that they've.
Kitchen garden in a box for the herbs. Yeah, it's really got legs.
We'll make it happen.
Our project team worked closely with community organisations who introduced us to key issues impacting the environment and sustainability. We then worked on narrowing down and identifying issues that stood out to us. We thought food wastage and garden practices would be key areas that we wanted to be our main focus.
Our team wanted to design a project that would create educational resources and content for the project website with the intention of linking the community to information on sustainable gardening. Team members undertook roles of research, marketing communications, design, budgeting and leadership to develop and implement this project.
We wanted to promote community gardens and provide easy and accessible information for finding and creating community gardens, promoting sustainable gardening at home and increasing awareness for the positive effects of sustainable gardening. We created website content including articles and guides and integrated these resources with a social media campaign featuring links to website content, quick facts, images and animations, and even a competition.
We investigated many issues relating to environmental sustainability and worked on identifying possible solutions for these issues. As a group, we identified that sustainable gardens were the best approach as they reduced food waste and assisted in mental health problems. Another influential factor for this project is the prominent increase in home gardens due to the COVID-19 outbreak, with a 50% increase in home gardening.
The research team consulted with the other teams to work collectively to identify where more resources were needed and what extra research was necessary. By investigating these areas, we were able to provide the other teams with the appropriate resources to assist the effective completion of their tasks and this project as a whole. The research team provided information to the other project teams for the purpose of social media, budget, and website articles. Statistics were used for the infographics and other visual forms to intrigue social media users and promote our project through Facebook and Instagram. Research for the budget team included investigating costs of design software, social media ads, and the various components of the competition prizes. The final stages of our research strategy was to investigate the effectiveness of our project through the analysis of likes, shares, followers, and community feedback.
The design team worked on the layout and presentation of the website and the positioning of new tabs and articles for the project website. Throughout the project, the design team has been helpful in designing a multitude of aspects, including the website and the new project logo. The design team has also been included in the collection and creation of artwork for our project to be included in the articles that are published on the website.
The media and marketing team utilised social media, specifically Facebook and Instagram.
This is our Instagram page. On our Instagram page, we uploaded stories that included facts and involved informative posts that were able to be linked to our website. Throughout the Instagram page, you can see that there are a multitude of different posts. The do's and don'ts of gardening, for example, even just some cool pictures and some fun facts. This particular post was used to promote our Garden in a Box competition. We set a variety of goals for our social media account, including the amount of posts we wanted to post, the amount of followers we wanted to gain, and also how we wanted to link it and the information we wanted to share. We were able to link our website in our bio and promote the website information on our page. This allowed people to be easily linked to the information we shared. Our Facebook page was very similar. We shared similar posts and had similar goals. Often on our Facebook, we would share moving images, which were more engaging and gave us a lot more revenue on our site.
Due to their capacity to reach a variety of audiences. Through Facebook and Instagram, informative posts were shared, targeting a variety of different groups. For example, a person of any age, socioeconomic status, or level of gardening experience can understand, engage, and promote the benefits of environmental sustainability through gardening. Posts offered tips and tricks about how to garden in smaller spaces, highlighting how easy gardening can actually be, and attempting to remove the stigma that you cannot garden if you don't have a large backyard. We wanted to encourage people to explore our website, as we promoted posts relating to articles about community gardens. Our slogan is Garden Fun for Everyone, which aims to make gardening more inclusive. We also ran a competition called Garden in a Box. This was based on a suggestion from our project partner, Anthony Dunn, who is the State Manager for Oz Harvest. The winner will receive a self-watering planter, a set of garden gloves and tools, soil, and even 2 packets of season-appropriate vegetables, and will be drawn on the 1st of October.
Due to the nature of our project, our expected outcomes centred around our social media engagement. We aim to implement our social media campaign between the 31st of August and the 30th of September in order to achieve the desired outcomes. We expected to have 50 or more social media followers across both Facebook and Instagram. We hope to have more than 30 posts made by the 25th of September, and our team also hopes to have at least 20 individuals involved in our competition. We have already been able to surpass several expectations set by our team. We have amassed 102 followers on Facebook and 59 followers on Instagram, and have already made 38 posts across both platforms.
Our aim for this project is to engage the community in a way that shows how easy sustainable gardening can be. Through this experience, we've obtained higher appreciation for environmental sustainability through the information we discovered and conversations with our community partners. This has been a rewarding experience for everyone.
I have to tell you that often whenever I was on social media, I'd be scrolling and I would be liking posts and being struck by these posts, and then I'd get all excited when I realized that it was actually you guys that I was engaging with. And just some feedback from the designers who put the project reports together. They said that your social media campaign was outstanding and they wanted you guys to be their interns. So well done. Anastasia, tell me something about your project that stood up. What would, if you were going to do this again, what would you change and why?
I think that's something that I would change would be something that's become very apparent, especially since I've started watching the other projects videos, is I feel like we lacked a little bit in community engagement with partners that were already out in the community doing things that tackled the problems that we were trying to address. So I feel like we probably could have engaged more with Anthony from Oz Harvest. He gave us that great idea for our competition, Wild Mountains, all of the other people that came and spoke. But I think overall, with the climate that we had to work in, that our project did quite well.
Your project was amazing. I actually went and planted a tomato bush based on your project. I have to say that it didn't survive, unfortunately. You've got to keep watering them. That's a big tip there. What do you think was effective about the way you marketed?
I think that having small pieces of information that caught people's eye was something that we focused on a lot. I noticed that a lot of other projects had videos and things like that. We didn't go that far, but we did have very quick facts that I think a lot of people probably didn't know, like the 20% of most stuff that's bought in households being just thrown out by the end of it. Like, it's something that a lot of people don't think about and don't really know, and then that encourages them to look into it a little bit more through the stuff that's on our website. So I'm pretty happy with the engagement that we got overall and how the marketing worked.
That's awesome. I'm going to ask a quick question, and Heidi's not prepared. We've got Heidi Piper here from our global mobility team. Heidi, could I impose upon you to provide feedback onto the students' project, the environmental project, please?
You can. Thanks, Faith. I always have something to say. I had to join today's event a little bit late because we had another event on, and I'm so glad I did join it. Like everyone listening, I've been close to tears a number of times Every project that you've been working on, each team, feels like something that actually is really close to my heart. And the very thing we try to do with our global mobility programs, like Service Learning tries to do, open people's perspectives, educate people. This one speaks to me. I've long been a supporter of Oz Harvest and have been very fortunate. We gave an honorary doctorate to Ronnie Khan, the university, who founded Oz Harvest, and she spoke at a graduation I attended. This one I think is so important. The bit that really spoke to me, to be honest, is that piece around you don't need a lot of space, you don't need a big garden, you don't need even a lot of time or a lot of tools to do this activity. I think, and I'm struck by this with a number of the projects, but this one too, really timely in terms of COVID has changed the world very rapidly and extremely, and it will never look the same again. And one of the first things that it told us was that food insecurity and toilet paper insecurity, strangely enough, were really big issues. That when there were issues with supply chains and worries about being able to get out of the house, that actually we needed to rethink all of the way we approached how we shop and feed ourselves and look after ourselves, that we need to be more sustainable, that we need to be more self-reliant, I guess. And for me, this project speaks to all of those things. And I am one of those people whose family built a garden in the backyard. Like Faith, I killed 3 tomato plants because I have grand goals but then struggle with follow-up sometimes. And what it says to me, I need to get more of the family involved. What I've really loved about this and other projects too was listening to how it opened all of your eyes, listening to how each of you who was going about your lives, everything going well, suddenly went, oh my God, there's all these things going on that we had no idea about. And then bringing your enthusiasm and what you've learned about that to educating a broader audience. I didn't know about that. I'm a chronic social media user. I've just followed you on Instagram. And I agree, this is just the beginning. What I will hope is that out of this project, you don't say, well, great, we've done that, we've delivered on that, we've got our grade, let's move on. That actually it's transformed each of you in your approach and that you will continue to be champions for this cause. Every single one of these is such an important cause. The environment, climate change, these are things that have the potential to change our lives even more than COVID has, to be honest. And that's kind of unimaginable at this moment when we think about the impact of COVID, to think actually there's something even bigger that could have a bigger, worse impact on all of us. I like the key message that there are little steps you can take to make a really big difference, that it's not about going from nothing to everything, that it's actually about what steps can I take as an individual. I live with an 18-year-old who is environmental and does run our compost in our house. And she's on me all the time about this. And now my 16-year-old said, Mum, we need to buy more things where we take our pieces of equipment in and get them to fill it up and stop buying all this packaging. I think the messages around this are so important. I would just urge you all to keep it going. Keep amplifying that message. Work out ways that you can encourage this to keep going, that doesn't become a short lifespan Instagram feed, and that you get other people adding into it, again, to amplify that message. So fantastic work, and I'm thrilled to be in the audience for all of this.
I did it again. I'm muted. Thank you, Heidi. I really appreciate that feedback. And I'm actually really pleased to be able to introduce our project partner and the idea behind the Garden in a Box, Mr. Anthony Dunn from Oz Harvest, who's the Queensland State Manager. Anthony, would you be able to provide some feedback? You were one of our partners. You had this great idea.
Guys, how incredible. I'm just so impressed that you actually went out and did it. I pitched that as like a throwaway comment because I'd been sitting on it for a few years and had done nothing with it. A couple of weeks with you guys and it's already off the table and it's out there in social medias. You've got a product, you've got some branding. How incredible. It reminds me of a quote. For the life of me, I can't remember who said it, but you can never underestimate the impact that a small group of extremely dedicated individuals can have. And in fact, it's the only thing that ever has done something. I think our CEO, Ronnie, would just be so proud to see what's happened. And in fact, I actually want a copy of that presentation so I can play it at our next All Hands at Oz Harvest. Phenomenal work. You've got the education piece that we discussed is the actual solution to these problems that are facing us. And you've got the legs of some self-sustaining revenue, which is something that plagues OzHarvest, being completely reliant on philanthropic donations. You guys have already taken legs to being self-sustainable and scalable. Well done.
Thank you, Anthony. And I've just seen that Liz Hill has also posted a comment, and Liz was one of our partners as well. Have you got something really quick to say before I go to our next project, Liz?
G'day. Sorry I'm not on video. My Wi-Fi is not the best out here in the bush. Hey, fantastic watching what you guys have pulled together. I look forward to seeing you guys connect with your project in the future.
Thanks, Liz. Okay, so this project actually born out of an original project which was designed around addressing Griffith student mental health and wellbeing strategies. We saw that mental health and wellbeing actually intersected into a lot of these other projects, so that's why we've included the other projects as part of this social impact stream. But right now I'd like to present to you the Mental Health and Wellbeing's project team. They envisioned a project to implement a safe and welcoming environment for Griffith University students on campus and virtually, and this is their project. The complex challenge of uncovering why psychological stress has risen and how we can reach out and support young adults in navigating through it all is what this project's all about. So does society have too many barriers for our youth to seek help? Can we support them while respecting their independence?
You have a real opportunity to make a difference to your community and to have social impact. That's a great thing to be able to do as part of your degree.
It's a good idea to have like a concept of like how big the teams are and how many goals they've got set out.
Yeah.
So I guess by today we want concise goals from each group, and then our job would be to approve those goals and then to make sure that there's no crossover.
Certainly people not seeing mental health as a real illness still is something that we also see at the Commission.
Having mental health literacy is really important as a responsibility for you as a human, but also professionally. It helps you know how to institute self-care. It helps you understand your self-awareness and maintain a proactive approach to wellness.
All of us must accept that it's an illness like any other illness. World Health Organization, it is an illness. 64% of us don't seek help. If you are suffering, you are strong, you are so brave, and really important that we change the world by seeking help. And when we seek help, we set examples for others to seek help.
Maybe having some videos from peers saying like, I've been in that spot and this is what I did that helped me, so it doesn't have to be quite as clinical.
Like our focus is not on one aspect, but on every aspect of mental health and wellness.
I'm so grateful because I know that there are going to be people out there that are going to really benefit from the work that you've done. And I'm just
We had a huge team of almost 100 students participate in the Mental Health and Wellbeing project. This co-design process was conducted entirely online in a large Zoom meeting with the aim to better the mental health and wellbeing of Griffith students. Our goals was to increase participation and access to support services by increasing their visibility and accessibility. As a team, we centred our strategy around Blackboard on learning at Griffith because we knew that this was one of the most visited places on the university website.
The Research and Resources team has helped inform the project direction approach and ensure we were making informed decisions were at the heart of this project and its outcomes. From our research, it was identified that the Wellbeing Centre would be more accessible by students if we prompted the for students by students approach to make these services feel less clinical and more appealing. The rebrand formed what we now refer to as the All Is Wellness project.
I just think, conversation is just the most important thing.
I think the biggest thing that has been so clear to me is that there is always someone who will listen.
I think communication.
Griffith has a lot of
very good support resources available, but you have to sort of make yourself aware of them. So it's a very good preemptive step if you know you're someone who can be prone to that sort of thing, to familiarize yourself with where you can find support if you need it before it reaches that point.
The marketing team created a beautifully designed logo and theme for the All Is Wellness project with eye-catching and creative branding to increase engagement with students on social media. Consideration of inclusivity, diversity, and a safe yet empowering representation of this project was paramount to the project team as well. Our Blackboard team has worked hard to connect with Griffith staff to implement a link to the Wellness Centre on Learning at Griffith and are now crafting plans for a new online organisation page for the All Is Wellness project to live.
Due to COVID-19 restrictions, the on-campus strategy team planned virtual and face-to-face workshops to connect students with each other and form a sense of community by engaging them with calming activities such as origami, drawing, and writing down words of affirmations.
The project management team behind the scenes have worked hard to facilitate the collaboration of the 4 teams for consistency and success within budgeting limits and presented the achievements and the purpose of our project to our community partners. The All Is Wellness team want fellow students to know that we empathise with the highs and lows of university life and that there is a safe place to join us in self-care because your mental health matters.
Now let's hear from some of our teams about the work they've been doing for the project.
Our 4 teams have worked cohesively together at an impressive level, taking into consideration the size and limitations of this mental health and wellbeing project. Our ultimate mission is to improve the mental health and wellbeing of Griffith's students through increased participation and awareness of existing Griffith services. And we were able to achieve a more visible and appealing platform through what we created and call the All Is Wellness project, that used a peer-based approach to reach students on a personable level.
We rebranded with the focus in mind that we would emphasise that this platform was made by students for students. An eye-catching logo, branding and theme was created to ensure that the All Is Wellness platform was inclusive and would consider diversity and inclusion in its implementation.
So far, we've participated in the Are You OK Day with the Gold Coast Campus Student Guild. We printed out All Is Wellness branded stickers and information posters for tangible promotion. We wore our branded t-shirts and represented the project during a face-to-face origami session with Griffith students at our market stall. The day was successful and photos were posted on the Student Guild Facebook page.
Following on from marketing strategy using Blackboard as a platform to effectively reach Griffith students, we consulted with Griffith staff to find out realistically how we could achieve our goal of linking the All Is Wellness project onto Learning at Griffith. In addition to this, we found that we could create a platform for the project through the organisations page, which would allow students to enrol in self-care. This organisation page we're working on is now a place that has resources, advice, virtual spaces and online events to form a student community that is a safe place to participate in self-care. We hope that in future, the organisation page and course will be added and accessed like a normal everyday course at Griffith.
Thanks guys, I am pleased to report that we have achieved our project goals, but the work is still ongoing. This experience has been very fulfilling, working a project at a professional level that aligns with my values, and it has been great for my academic study. I have really enjoyed making new friends and connections.
I have enjoyed working on this project because it aligns with my passion for mental health. I have been able to get out of my comfort zone. Thank you so much for letting us share our project outcomes with you.
What an amazing project you guys have put together. This has been an incredibly passionate team, led beautifully by Madison Wheeler and the other team leaders. I do want to acknowledge when we were putting this sprint together, we were really putting a lot of time and thought into creating a healthy workplace that would support mental health and wellbeing for the interns. And I was originally going to do forest therapy, but at the beginning of this project, Samantha Bridgeton, one of our master's student, reached out to the project team and wanted to be more involved with the project team and how we delivered the project. So through discussion with Samantha about her career aspirations and what she hoped to achieve, Samantha identified that she was very interested in self-care. So we were able to implement self-care sessions every day as part of the internship sprints. At the end of the sprint, Samantha would come in and just run a mindful self-care session that created that break between the third space, between the work and signifying the end of the workday. I'm not sure if Samantha is here. I did send her a message, but I would love for Samantha to come in and just talk briefly about her research project. But while I wait to see if Samantha is around, are you there?
I am here, yeah.
Samantha, I wanted to give you a heads up. I was going to throw to you, but you're beautifully capable. Did you want to just share some of your insights and experiences running those self-care sessions?
Yeah, sure. So it was really amazing to see at the end of every day, really the goal was to have everyone have an opportunity to debrief and recognise an achievement that they had obtained that day, no matter how big or small. And it was really amazing to see how many people connected with that and could find an achievement. And then we would practice a self-care technique, something small that we could do online all together, to take a moment to disconnect from the big day of heavy work and just kind of set off into our evening, no matter what we had to do, to take that moment to look after ourselves. So along the way, we were collecting data from polls to see how people were feeling. And overall, we saw a really good positive response to the self-care sessions. A lot of people were asking for longer sessions and to do more practice. It was something that seemed to benefit a lot of people. And I really appreciated how much people were willing to share and to just be vulnerable in those moments and really try something different. There was a lot of people who hadn't done any self-care before and acknowledged that maybe taking care of themselves was something that they felt guilt for, and had, learnt socially that we look after other people rather than ourselves. We also had people who were experienced in self-care and had advice they could share with the team. So overall, it was a really positive experience, and I feel it worked successfully across all the projects, which was great to see. I think originally I thought maybe some of the projects like environment and sustainability may not connect as much with it because they maybe weren't discussing emotionally heavy things, but they were discussing really heavy ideas that, took a lot of brain capacity during the day. So they all seem to really enjoy it and take something from it. And the benefits that we recorded were really great.
Thanks, Sammy. I know a lot of the students fed back that they really enjoyed those sessions and got a lot out of it. So I'd just like to acknowledge the work that you did and say thank you for being such a valuable part of the structure and the format of the interns.
Thank you.
Now I'm going to go back to the presentation team. Emily, what were some of the challenges that you guys had to overcome during the project?
I think a really, really big challenge was the fact that we had so many students in our project, and we really wanted to make sure everyone was all together on the same page, because that's what mental health is. It's everyone understanding one another and being united as a team. And I know me personally, and I've tried not to cry, as a counselling student, I was showing what our work that we were doing to my peers, and they were loving it. And I'm like, and I know, like, as a team, we are actually making an impact now. And I want to say, like, just a huge thank you to everyone. But we have really overcome those barriers, especially even being it online, making sure everyone was knowing what was going on. And it was really difficult at times, but we got there in the end. And now look at our project. It's beautiful. And I'm so excited to hand it over to the next lot of students. And I wish I could just continue on with it. I really do.
Oh, well, hang around. I might have jobs for you. Mika, how did you engage with the large volume of students? How did you get them to participate in the project?
So our co-design process
was one of our most advantageous aspects because the students got to pick which group they would be a part of and exercise the skills that they already had. And there was a lot of passion in it anyway. So even though it was really hard to facilitate and coordinate like a huge group of students, the skills were there and the passion was there, and the functionality of the co-design groups were amazing. So that's how we got through it.
Okay, so the mental health project partners, one of them was the mental health first aid team, and Kathy Bond and Erin Healy are back again today, and I'm hoping Belinda Geresi from Headspace is also here. I'm not sure because I can't see, but Kathy and Erin, would you mind giving a response to the students about their project, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations. It's just been such a privilege to see this project come to life, and you've all created real and sustainable change, and you can sort of feel and see the passion that's gone into this project, and it's just amazing. And I particularly love the decision to move to that all is wellness branding, and that sort of for students by students approach is just so personal and approachable. And I think something that sort of came out really clearly in your presentation was that there is always someone who will listen, and what you've done is open up another door to allow that to happen. So congratulations, it's just amazing.
Kathy, are you there?
I'm here. Yeah, I just echo everything that Erin said. It is such an amazing project. And I just wanted to add, I really like the way that you approached your activities by engaging in a variety of approaches. So you have those one-off events that happen, but also, you know, the ongoing sorts of activities as well that can be sort of day-to-day in students' lives, such as the organization page and other things that you've done. So well done. And I too think the logo is just amazing. So well done. Thanks for including us.
Oh, thanks, Kathy and Erin, for coming back. Belinda, if you are here, just put your hand up and jump in. Before we kind of come to the end, I just wanted to ask if any of our guests who are here had any questions for any of the students before we close out our proceedings. Love those awkward silences while everybody goes.
Faith, it's Heidi. I have a question, and I'll throw it out to all the students, whoever wants to answer. In terms of how did the outcomes of being involved in this, in your project, in the internship, compare with what you thought you would get out of it?
Ooh, that's a great question. Anybody want to answer?
I'll answer if nobody else wants to go. When I entered this community project, I didn't really expect to have much of a role in it whatsoever, or really get too much out of it, because I have, well, I would say that I have a pretty big awareness of environmental problems and things like that. My family in New South Wales lives off-grid in a more sustainable lifestyle, and I feel like that helped me be more engaged in the project. But I ended up, through the project, taking on a leadership role and really finding out a lot more, especially in the way of food waste and like household like items that make more of an impact than I thought they would. Refrigeration, I didn't know was one of the highest contributors to global warming and emissions, or that food waste created emissions. When it goes to landfill, I thought that it would break down and it wouldn't be that much of a problem. But yeah, I found that despite the fact that I went in with such a large amount of information already under my belt, that I still got so much out of it. And I really hope that everybody else in my team and in the other teams also came out with the same amount of information, because I hope that we can continue to make the impacts that we've started in this project.
Thanks, Anastasia. Anybody else before we wrap it all up?
I'll elaborate on that one.
Faith. Just as being a education student, I came into this as our prac got cancelled and it was all a big drama, and I was like, it was something that we had to do for our degree, and I thought at the start nothing really of it, but then in the end it turned into something really incredible. And like, I knew about mental health, but it was just so much bigger than what I knew. And yeah, it was incredible to be a part of just such an amazing team that made a good impact, and we created a great output. So yeah, it really did create more than what I thought it was going to be.
That's awesome.
Can I add, Faith, for someone like you, Taylor, who'll be moving into the education field, I would love to ask you that question again in 5 years, when you take what you've learned in this and applied it in the classroom setting, where you'll be coming across mental health issues in your student and colleague body potentially all the time. It's the single biggest issue we're facing in our student community. So
yeah, that's it. And just how like big it is in schools too, like the age range for mental health really surprised me as well. So yeah, it is really more prevalent to education than I thought it was going to be.
I just sent a message to Kate. I saw that Kate Cuddy from Black Dog Institute is here with us. So I didn't get to give you a heads up, Kate, but you very kindly organised for Wayne Wiggins to speak with us and Melissa as self-advocates in the mental health space. Something that I remember from Wayne's discussion that students all commented on was Wayne's comments around toxic masculinity and how just using it that way was detrimental. So I definitely saw a shift in the students' engagement with mental health and men's issues. But you've engaged with the project. I just wanted to know, as a community partner, what's your perspective on in collaborating with students and working in this space?
Well, we believe in 360 education, so it's a pleasure to meet you all on Zoom and to know that you're working at this level and social impact and taking a 360 approach as well. So we work across all streams of the community, so making sure that we're feeding into education, and the passion that's coming through as you're engaging in your future careers is just so important, and getting the feedback as well. So we work from teams all the way up through the community. So we rely on that two-way conversation to inform and innovate in what we do all the way through.
Thanks, Kate. Didn't mean to put you on the spot there, but I appreciate your comments. So I guess we've come to that part of the internship where, for me personally, it was really lovely actually seeing those flashbacks where I saw you all on screen and remember watching how you guys all were working when you were collaborating and innovating and really kind of getting passionate about how you could work to come up with solutions to some of these complex social justice issues. So I just want to applaud the work that you've all done and our partners for joining with us to actually get down in the space and help students as they progress through these amazing projects. Before we finish, it's really important that I thank and I honour the Service Learning Unit team who have been working really hard in the background to make sure that the students had a rich and a rewarding experience, and made sure the professional standards of their presentations, and really making sure that they were able to connect, collaborate with our partners. So Lara Davenport and the fabulous partnership team, Sabrina Beck and Bruna. Louise Ascock, who was a star, with her admin team, Samantha Mormon, Kirsty Munn and Grace Mormon. I would also like to acknowledge Catherine Longworth, who's the Senior Academic Advisor in the Community Internship course, who leads our academic staff, and she is really the heart and soul of the Community Internship course. Another special mention to Dr. Michael Waring, who was in the trenches with me as we tried to manage the disappointment of a whole cohort of students who were unable to go face-to-face in their internships. Madeline Story from Student Guild, I did want to ask you some questions, so please drop in if you're still here. She worked with all our students, making sure that we were able to increase their mental health literacy. Shanil Rempara and our own intern, Lucas Medcraft, who worked so very hard creating these videos for the students and making sure that they were edited every night and uploaded for the teams of observers to watch and still be part of these projects. Also, I'd like to thank Hugh Gormley for organising the studio for the students to go in and film their presentations. Now we come to the part where I go a big, huge thank you and acknowledgement to Dr. Heather Stewart and Samir Ahmed, who were in the sprints with me every day and working with the students and encouraging. Heather has done an amazing job on our project reports that I will publish on the website and send to all of you here today. Samir made sure that all of those students got into their breakout rooms. She made sure that all of our videos ran. So thank you, Samir. Heather, you did an amazing job on the project reports and making sure they all came together. I also want to thank all of our community partners who came back again today and again throughout the sprints to work with the students, share your wisdom and your knowledge. To the Cascade Communications team, such a huge thank you to you. I'm really proud of what all of the students have achieved participating in the social impact projects. They've performed beyond my expectations, and I'm sure they've performed much beyond theirs as well. I'm mostly proud of how you've all engaged with the issues. I'm really proud of how you've become passionate about doing the work that you've done and how passionate you've become about making a change. And I'm so excited to see you take that into your future careers. I know you guys are change makers of the future, and I can't wait to see you blossom. So I'm not going to bawl like I normally do, but I just want to give my heartfelt thanks to all the work that you've done, and I wish you all the very best in your careers. And thank you to all the project supporters. So please put your cameras on and join me as we give all of the interns in all of the projects a big, massive round of applause.
And Faith, while we're doing that, I think we have one more celebration as we announce the winner of the competition for Homeless Project.
Yep.
If the team would like to come on and announce that.
Hi everyone, so I was in charge of getting them all together, and then on Friday our competition closed. Hold on, just give me a second.
Now we can't hear you.
Sorry, I had background noise. My dad's eating chips. So our competition closed on Friday, and on Monday we all had a meeting for those that could come, and we chose our winners. Originally we were supposed to have a top three, and we did have a top three. Our first one was Aroha Abaka. She's a year 10. Our second place was Tay Niamba, a year 10. Our third place was Kai Niamba, the year 10, and those were the siblings from the mum that gave us the really, really good feedback. And then we all decided on the meeting, well, Faith encouraged this, because we were under budget, we still had a lot of room left in our budget, and the next three entries were so good, we decided to give them the highly commended awards, and they all received $50 each. So that was Jessica Bothwell, a year 7, Lachlan Derrick, a year 10, and Jessica Rhodey, a year 12. So congratulations to all of them. They all are aware that they have won, and the top 3 winners all chose to send their equal amount that they received to the Kids Undercover organisation, which is a total of $500 in a donation.
Oh, thank you, Claire. Can I just acknowledge the team's desire to help facilitate the next generation contribute to society by matching their donations, by allowing them to actually contribute and have an impact themselves. So that was your initiative, and I thought that was brilliant. So well done. And that photo of that heart that student designed was just amazing, where she encapsulated your project saying home is where the heart is. So well done, everybody. Anyway, thank you, Kate, and all of our partners. Let's just call it the end of the day. I'm going to wish you all the well, and I'm going to go turn this off. I'll send everybody a copy of your project reports. And it's been a pleasure working with everybody, our students, interns, and our partners. Have a great day, everybody, and good luck.